everyone. We're back. It's Talia and Shonna, and we are continuing, after a brief hiatus, our series about LGBTQ issues and identities in Orthodoxy. And I'm so excited. We have such an incredible guest, though really we're in your home, so we are your guests today.
Thank you for coming.
This is Shlomo Ashkinazy, who's been an incredible activist and advocate and voice for LGBTQ Orthodox Jews for decades.
I'm Shlomo Ashkinazy. I'm a gay Orthodox Jew. I've been active in the LGBT movement almost from the very beginning. Stonewall was in 1969. I joined the activist community in 1970. Even though I came out 6 years earlier than that, I came out at the age of 14, involved in the Firehouse, which was the original LGBT center in New York from 70 to 73. I was on the founding board of the Gay Center on 13th Street. I was a founder of the Hedrick Martin Institute, and I started the Harvey Milk High School and was the principal there for the first 10 years. I was a founding member of the Stonewall Democratic Club, and I'm still the longest serving board member after 31 years there. So I've been around a long time, seen a lot.
A lot of changes have happened pretty rapidly in the past couple of years, but I'm sure even more than that. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about how things are different now.
I know a big part of our discussion today and is really about the Orthodox community. But I can tell you that the secular community back then was more restricted and worse than the Orthodox community is today, which is why I am so optimistic and I have so much hope, because I've seen so many things change in my lifetime, in my experience, that I know that change is inevitable. When I first came out and into the 1970s, it was illegal to be gay. Back then, even in the secular community, LGBT was not accepted. So I was actually rejected by Hunter, Columbia, and NYU School of Social Work. I was told that I would be accepted if I would agree to stay in the closet. I was told that being out in the classroom would be disruptive, and being out in my field placement would be unprofessional. One of the great aspects that keeps me very optimistic and positive is what a generational thing this is. So sometimes when people say, well, my community's not going to change and my synagogue's not going to change, and I say, well, keep in mind that in 20 years from now, when you talk about your synagogue or your community, you're not going to be talking to your rabbi, you're going to be talking to his children. And they grew up in a different world.
Are there certain patterns that you see in terms of what people are struggling with, or what sort of work still needs to be done?
It was a very common experience for me to be at a gay conference or event and have someone come up to me and said, what are you doing here? And I said, and asked me, are you gay? And I'd say, yes. I says, but you're wearing a yarmulke, are you Orthodox? And I say, yes. And they'd say, oh, that's so interesting. I used to be Orthodox too. And I always ask them, if you weren't gay, would you still be Orthodox? And they'd say, yeah, I guess so. And that was profoundly sad to me. I realized that it was important for me to be that resource. I was on a TV show in 1985 as the principal of the Harvey Milk Salon, a TV show that everybody knew then, but most people don't know that, called the Phil Donahue Show. It was a very popular afternoon talk show.
Are there any clips of that I can put in here?
Yes.
Mr. Ashkenazy, you wear a yarmulke. Are you an Orthodox Jew?
I'm an Orthodox Jew.
And how are you doing in the synagogue with this?
Well, I had a lot of support within the Orthodox community. I certainly know many Orthodox Jews who are gay, most of whom are not as open about it as I am, but many of them are really happy that I'm doing it and feel that their life will be a little bit better because I am. A sin is something that a person has to choose to do or not to do. Being homosexual is not a choice, and therefore I think that a person has to address their religious beliefs with the best of intentions, make a great effort. I believe in the Bible, and I think it's a great blueprint for how we can perfect our lives, but I have yet to meet a person ever who lived entirely 100% in agreement with every biblical commandment.
And we'll be back in
I got a lot of response to that. Both positive and negative. I mean, positive in that so many people sought me out and found me because they were struggling and didn't know that there were other Orthodox people. The negative was that in the shul that I was going to at that time, they tried to kick me out of the shul, and almost succeeded.
A lot of times people who come across these videos are people who maybe are still closeted or still struggling, questioning, and looking for a resource of some kind, some sort of reassurance, some sort of hope that if they do come out, that there's life out of the closet. If you were speaking to someone right now who is maybe going through that, what would you want them to hear?
There is life out of the closet. I think it's really important to surround yourself with friends and have a support network. But it's really important to sometimes have the opportunity to be with our own, because, you know, in order to learn about our own needs and our own identity. So that's really important too. That's why, you know, Haitian exists. That's why, you know, there are other groups too.
Shlomo, so many Orthodox gay people, Orthodox LGBT people struggle with their connection and relationship with Hashem, with God. What is your relationship with Hashem like?
You know, when people ask me, how can you stay, you know, Orthodox, how can you go to an Orthodox school where you're not accepted? My response is always, if I were shipwrecked on a desert island all by myself, I would still be Orthodox, because that's who I am. My relationship is with God. My understanding of Orthodoxy is that it's the mechanism by which I perfect and improve and nurture my soul. I do that within a community, but the community is not the end game.
What do you think Hashem wants? What do you think God wants from an Orthodox LGBT person?
A question or a challenge that I used to get years ago, I still hear it sometimes, but it used to be more common when, and I hear that other people get asked this all the time too, that they say that, oh, this is just a test. This is just, you know, being gay is just a test that Hashem is giving you that you can overcome. But I know from experience that being gay isn't something you can overcome. So I've come up with the response that, yes, but maybe the test isn't to overcome being gay. Maybe the challenge is, can you stay Orthodox? Given that you're not going to be mainstream, given that you're going to have people who will be prejudiced against you, can you still stay Orthodox? That's a really big challenge. I know that Hashem wants you to, you know, continue to be Jewish and to follow Torah. I do not believe that God wants you to try to be what you can't be.
What do you think could be a future for a person who's frum and gay or from an LGBT?
Well, whenever people ask me what the future is going to be, I always think of science fiction movies. If you look at science fiction movies that are more than 30 or 40 years old, you have to laugh at them, because people's view of the future is so inaccurate. What I do believe about the future is that you'll see more and more acceptance. I know that we're living in the Trump era now, and there's like this terrible, you know, huge step backward, but I think it's temporary. I think we'll get through this and continue the progress that we're on.
Thank you so much for opening your home to us and for sharing your story.
And thank you for bringing the sign. I'm saying that
That was Shonna's
as much as
contribution.
I like that sign, I don't want people to think that, oh, isn't that interesting? Shlomo Ashkinazy has a girls sign.
It's actually a mandate for every Orthodox lesbian to bring a neon lesbian decor sign with them wherever they go always. So if you're wondering, how do I reconcile being Orthodox and being a lesbian, the answer is purchase this neon sign. It's the answer.
But I do love it.
Real answer.
And I do love it. The gay man in me just says, wow, that's fabulous.
If you'd like to learn more about the incredible work that Shlomo does with Eshel, you can visit eshelonline.com.
Shout out to Hashem for taking care of all of his children, including his LGBTQ children, and shout out to the people who continue to sustain a relationship with God and with Judaism, even if it's painful and difficult.
We see you and we hear you and we care about you, and we want you to know that you're not alone.
Please reach out. Do it. Do the thing.
Yeah, we respond to comments, we respond to emails and tweets and Facebook messages.
Meet us, come for Shabbos, you're always welcome. Bye everyone!
Bye. We're here at the Eshel National Retreat, which is the largest gathering in the U.S. of LGBTQ plus Jews who were or are Orthodox.